Well, certainly in line with His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to really cater to the unique needs of the most disadvantaged members of our society. He has determined that his economic reforms will be all-encompassing and that they will provide multiple means of reducing financial and economic obligations on Nigerian families across the country. The student loan program is just the latest one. So let's be clear about what it was and what it now is with the signing of this amendment into effect. Effectively, the initial version of the bill created some restrictions on how many families would be able to key into this program, how many students, rather, would be able to benefit from the program. Basically saying that any set of parents that made more than 500,000 naira annually, not monthly, annually, meaning less than 40,000 naira per month, essentially, that any child from a home that was above that threshold, 500,000 naira annually, would not be eligible for, accession into the student loan program. We have removed that in the amendment. So effectively, all categories of Nigerian students will be able to key into this, irrespective of the extent to which their family is struggling economically or not. That's point number one. Point number two is, on the initial draft of the bill, we also had this guarantor clause that effectively created all sorts of undue hardship and hurdles for Nigerian students who want to access an affordable education by asking them to provide up to 2 guarantors with very, very specific features and essentially conditions that really would dissuade Nigerian students from even accessing the loan in the first place. So we've now dealt with that by removing the guarantor requirement, ensuring that Nigerian young people who want to get into this program and access the loan facilities are not spending months and years trying to find how to essentially resolve some of these requirements. And I think the final point I would mention in terms of the differences is that initially the initial bill dealt with only tuition. What the president has done in his wisdom is said, look, the amendment is going to ensure that the student loan facility that's provided will pay the tuition of the student to the school, but it will also include allowances and other benefits payable to the students to ensure that they can deal with paying for their hostels, paying for the living expenses on campus, etc., while ensuring that these things can be paid back in a timely fashion by providing requirements on when those funds would need to be paid back, which is, of course, 2 years after the National Youth Service participation was concluded, and also ensuring that our students understand that we have added technological backbone to the verification process that was not in place in the first bill. So now we are including the NIM number, we're including the BVN to ensure that there's transparency and accountability with respect to how funds that are being paid to the students on their side of it is being expended. So
Beautiful.
There's really a lot to dig into with respect to the amendment bill.
A beautiful program, I must say. But how soon can students begin to access surplus loan? And are there categories that will not be covered?
Well, and this is a very fundamental question, because the initial bill also dealt really with essentially 4-year universities, the traditional programs, medicine, law, and the like. What the president has done is said, look, we have young, gifted Nigerians who are willing to participate in the economy from the blue-collar, segment of the economy, who want to get involved in carpentry, plumbing, manufacturing, and the like. We want to make sure that we cater to all the needs of our young people, which is why in the amendment he has now opened up the space for young Nigerians to, access student loan financing, even for vocational technical training centers, as well as, skill development and skill acquisition centers. So that's all going to be part of the larger puzzle, saying, look, we'll cater to those who want to get involved in the white-collar aspect of the economy, whether it's in financial services, medicine, and law, but we're also going to deal with the blue-collar, making sure that those who are, building our infrastructure, those who are employing our, our entrepreneurs, or at least supplying our entrepreneurs as vendors and the like, that they are being upskilled in a way that they can provide world-class services without necessarily having to go through 4 or 6 years in a university teaching hall. I think the other point that needs to be mentioned is, in the initial bill, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, was essentially a structure that did not have certain abilities and powers that it would have needed to have in order to enforce recovery proceedings against any beneficiaries who were not living up to their responsibility in faithfully repaying the loans when they are able to obtain employment after their education. So what we have now done by this amendment, Mr. President has essentially made the NEL Fund a corporate body that is able to leverage on certain movable and immovable assets. For example, it can hold assets, and it has the legal authority now to initiate recovery proceedings against any beneficiary who is trying to play or abuse the system. That was not the case before. In addition to that, the President has also put in place a set of regulatory and governance mechanisms through this amendment bill that would ensure that the NEL Fund is no longer run in a way that is equivocal and malleable to the whims of men in office, but is now structured in a way that has a governing council that is separate from the day-to-day management, the day-to-day management being run by a managing director and a set of executive directors appointed by the President, and then the governing council being run by a chairman and a secretary appointed from the bodies that are involved in the process, namely the FIRS, the NIMC, and the Ministry of Education and many other agencies.